Earlier today at approximately 1:30 this afternoon, the Gwinnett Police SWAT team arrested Yahya Abdul Qadir in Lithonia, Georgia, in connection with the murder of Senior Correctional Officer Scott Reiner. We worked with several other agencies in this case, including the U.S. Marshals, the ATF, the Gwinnett Sheriff's Department, the DA's office, but our homicide detectives have been working on this case around the clock since we first got the case earlier this week on Tuesday morning. We are very satisfied to say that we have this person in custody and that this person will face justice for the death of Officer Reiner.
Sergeant Richter, what in particular happened as far as you can tell Tuesday morning? What were the sequences that led up to this homicide?
We are still working to put together what motivated this killing. We may never know what the exact motive was behind this case, but there are still several investigative avenues that we are working on to try to determine exactly what led up to it. It does not appear that the officer and Mr. Abdul Qadir knew each other, but as we go further in this investigation, that could change.
Is it possible that Abdul Qadir was an inmate of that facility and he might have known the officer that way?
He was not an inmate of the facility as far as we can tell at this point. It does not appear that he knew Officer Reiner through that connection.
Had he been hanging around the facility for several hours prior to the killing?
We have some reason to believe that he was in the area on foot. I wouldn't say several hours. I believe it was probably maybe an hour, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but he had been in the area on foot for a period of time.
What led investigators to him in Lithonia?
We were able to connect him based on some investigative leads that we came up with over the course of this investigation. Once we determined who he was, we were then able to follow his whereabouts until we had enough information to go ahead and get those warrants.
Is he the same person that we've seen in the surveillance video?
We do believe that he's the same person we've seen.
Were you receiving tips from the public?
Has he confessed at all or anything?
He is here at Gwinnett headquarters. We are planning to interview him this afternoon. He has not yet spoken to investigators, but we are planning to do that later on this afternoon.
And you believe he acted alone?
I do believe at this point that there's no indication that there was anyone else involved.
Nobody harboring him in Lithonia? What was the connection for him out there? Where was he when you arrested him?
It was an address it was an address off of Main Street in Lithonia. We're still trying to investigate what the exact ties are between Mr. Abdul Qadir and that location, but no, we do not believe that anyone was harboring him specifically.
Was that a resident?
It looks like it's possibly a business residence combo, but I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Did he resist at all?
No, he did not. He was taken into custody with absolutely no incident.
Was there ever an attempt to take anything from Officer Reiner?
We're still investigating that. There was some thought that perhaps something was taken from Officer Reiner, but that hasn't been confirmed.
Did your suspect have a weapon on him at the time that you arrested him?
I don't have that.
What role did that photo that you released play in this investigation? Were there tips from the public that were part of what led you to him?
We did get quite a few tips from the public, all of which we followed up on, but actually we determined who Mr. Abdul Qadir was through other investigative means.
Was his family cooperative?
I don't know.
So have you arrested him before, or is this really your first time seeing him? He's just 22.
I don't have any knowledge of his history at this point.
But he lived in the area, in Decula?
Yes, we do believe he lives in Decula.
Does he live with family or alone?
I don't know.
Do you know if this suspect was ever identified early in the investigation, or was this a relatively late discovery?
I believe it was a relatively late discovery.
There was an investigation this afternoon into a possible stolen car. Was that connected in any way to this arrest?
No, the stolen car was just completely a coincidence. Our officers encountered a stolen vehicle that was being driven, and when they attempted to stop those people, they ran on foot and were apprehended a short time later.
When you said he came into the investigation late, I thought you mentioned that he was the person in the surveillance video.
He was the person in the surveillance video, but we didn't know who the person in the surveillance video was until we identified who Mr. Abdul Qadir was, and that was recent, over the last day and a half.
So today's Friday, you released that video Thursday?
No, we released that video almost immediately. I believe it was Tuesday afternoon.
That's what I thought, so it seems he would be an early suspect.
I mean, I guess, however you want to look at it.
But you didn't know who was in the video until other investigative means identified your suspect, and then you connected him to the video after the fact.
Correct.
When a significant arrest like this happens, is there relief among the detectives that have worked so hard?
Yes, there's a great amount of satisfaction amongst our detectives. I mean, all of our cases are important to us, but a case involving a fellow law enforcement officer does take on its own level of importance. And we're very grateful to have made this arrest so that hopefully some level of comfort can come to Officer Reiner's family and his coworkers and friends.
Were Officer Reiner's family notified, and did they have a response or a reaction to him being caught?
I know that they were notified, as well as the Department of Corrections leadership, and I believe that they were probably quite grateful to know that this individual had been apprehended.
What are the charges exactly against him initially?
His charges right now are felony murder and aggravated assault.
But you don't know if it was an armed robbery yet?
We don't know, but there's not anything to indicate armed robbery at this point.
Do you still believe there was an argument between the two, or was it more of a crime of opportunity? It could have been another corrections officer.
It really could have been anything still at this point. Like I said, we may not know exactly what it was, but we are still working on it. We haven't closed the door on anything. There could have been a dispute. It could have been random. We're still working on that.
Just to be clear, do you have any record of him being in the system in Gwinnett County?
Not that I'm aware of.
Was there an argument between the two prior to the shooting?
I don't have any information on whether there was or wasn't.
Did you all say that earlier, though?
We were initially thinking that maybe there was some kind of an interaction there, and that was just kind of some of our early thoughts on it, but so far that's not been confirmed.
Do you know when his first appearance is scheduled?
I do not.
Is he a Muslim? I noticed his name.
I don't have any information on that.
Who actually made the arrest?
Our SWAT officers.
And why was SWAT called out in this situation?
You know, it's just out of an abundance of caution. We want to make sure that we're prepared for whatever may happen.
And how long have they been following him? You indicated
Hours.
like 24, anything?
I don't know the exact amount of time, but they've been working on this nonstop, really. So it's all been one continuous block of work.
And I think you said you had no information of why he was in Lithonia.
No, I don't have any information about why he was in Lithonia. We're going to work on that. Maybe we'll have more on that later, but right now I'm not sure exactly what that is.
Do you think he had been sleeping in that business slash?
Possibly.
Were there other people there?
I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Whew, now I feel like I can see again. Thank God for your Christmas sweater. Yeah. So I don't know what's gonna come of this motive situation. Hopefully he'll talk to us and we'll have something, because I'm sure we'd all like to know.
When you say they, does he have an attorney?
What did I say?
Hopefully they'll talk to us.
No, well, I meant to say hopefully he'll talk to us. I don't think, he didn't have an attorney when I was there.